Hello again, this is Robert Williams in Moores, New York. My Common Sense Politics, either .com or .net will get you there. This is my third 10-day YouTube evaluation of President Obama, and we're really in an economic mess, and it's global. And in order to go forward, you need to build your forward-looking plans have to be built on brutal truths. Your foreign policy, sending more troops into Afghanistan, that also has to be based on brutal truths. And the brutal truth is that 9/11 was not done by 19 bumbling Saudis who had ties to the Taliban. Okay, this was done by the military and the DOD and Cheney and Rumsfeld and Bush. I don't know if he knew about it. He was awful stunned. He sat there for 7 minutes and doing absolutely nothing, staring off to space when he was told about it. But there was no plane that went into the Pentagon, and there was no plane that crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Okay, plenty of YouTubes out there, videos, and just Google 9/11 for truth and 9/11 brutal truths, and you'll see that there's plenty of evidence out there. It needs to be exposed and then move on from there. This was an engineered false flag event to get the United States to invade Afghanistan for the oil pipeline, and then also as an excuse for the neocons and the new conservative century, new American century people to invade Iraq for their oil. The Chinese just have come up with a total electric car that's going to hit the U.S. market probably late next year in 2010 or spring of 2011. Total electric battery. I told you last 10-day YouTube about a guy who runs his four-wheeler go-kart type of operation on pure water, whether it's salt water, seawater, ice, tap water. It runs on pure water. Okay, this is done by running a frequency at 20,000 megahertz through the water, through the electrode that splits the H2O into hydrogen and oxygen, and it burns from there. The waterforgas.com, that's another thing that should be made priority and made an actual order to the General Motors that it has to intake this technology so that we get to 75 to 85 miles per gallon. That's some friends who's getting this out in the mountains of Washington State. Okay, this is true stuff, and you're not taking advantage of it. You want a green economy? Let's have one. Let's decriminalize hemp. So, like in Kentucky, there's a law out there right now that was passed in 2001 to allow the sheriffs to actually go over and issue the permits for the growers. You're still not doing anything along those lines, which you had promised, in which your two surveys was the number one choice of what you needed to do when you were elected in office by the people. You need to take the Federal Reserve and just nationalize it, and those $250,000 for all the owners of the Federal Reserve, all the banks, the Mellons and the Morgans and all those other rich people. They get $250,000 retirement guaranteed, and that's it. Anything else in stocks and bonds, $250,000 per account, that's it. And this needs to be done worldwide. Get the IMF in this and stop taking the currencies and take it off the hog market and the currency exchange. It's set by gamblers, because that's basically what the currency is being set by now, is by gamblers on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Okay, money should not be set that way. I said before on America Inc. Again, you can go to My Common Sense Politics, either .com or .net, type in America Inc., and I'll give you a treatise where this takes place, and it's a reasonable way to go forward in doing this, so that everybody is taken care of equally and fairly, okay, throughout the planet. The way we're going now, we'll have nuclear war before we even hit December 22nd, 2012. Especially since you allow the idea of a separate region in Afghanistan for the people who are fighting for their freedom in Afghanistan, but you criticize Pakistan, which has nuclear weapons, for doing the same thing in the Swat Valley. And what kind of a hypocritical stance is that? In addition, you are still allowing the Bush policy of not allowing the Afghanistan people in the Bagram air base, access to the Red Cross or anybody else. That's totally against what you promise, an open and wide government that speaks truth to the people. You aren't. Of course, you're a politician. We should expect no less, right? Even though you said so, that this was going to be something else. I don't know. Right now, you have definitely got a lot of things on your mind and on your plate. You don't have a lot of good qualified help, I don't think. You need to do something with the housing crisis. A lot of that should be that you help people out with their mortgages. Maybe instead of sending the bailout to the banks, you send the bailout to the people. Okay? If that's $780 billion or whatever it was, or it's going to be $1 trillion to bail the banks out, send that $1 trillion out to everybody else. That guy that was on Rick Santilli or whatever it was, he was screaming, he was right. I'm making my mortgage payment, even though I went through a foreclosure, and the bank went through with it, even though they knew I had won the Social Security court case. That bank, which is the Royal Bank of Scotland now, after it was bought out from what was used to owned by two Saudis, still went through with the foreclosure, even though they knew I won the Social Security and was going to get money and could make up the payments. They still went through the foreclosure process, and it cost me thousands of dollars extra than it needed to. And I relayed this to the banks. They didn't want to listen to it. So instead of bailing out the banks, try bailing out the individual human taxpayers. You file a tax return, you're getting a Social Security check, send $10,000 to $15,000 to every Social Security recipient and everybody who's filed taxes. That'll help them get their mortgage up to date, and it'll also allow them money to either get out of that mortgage and go get a new house, and let that house just fall by the wayside. Some of these companies, and like I said, the SEC, totally corrupt. It hasn't done its job since day one about clamping down on this greed and this overzealous and these credit default swaps and everything else that's going on in the banking industries. This has to stop. And it begins with you. You're at the top. As the saying goes, all the way back to FDR, the buck stops here. And it also starts with here. Okay? It starts with you, President Obama. You got to live up to what you're saying. Okay? Say what you mean and mean what you say. Okay? Actions speak louder than words. Actions are proof of intent, and actions are the final judgment of character. It really is that simple. This is my third YouTube evaluation of your presidency. Got a ways to go before you get the halfway mark, and the mainstream media comes barreling down and gives you a halfway mark grade. My suggestion is to step up to the plate and really do something with the banking and finances so that we can bail people out. You got almost 150, 200,000 people that were marching in Ireland yesterday because they're going to lose their pensions. These were guaranteed pensions, okay? My mother was supposed to have guaranteed pension when my father died. That didn't happen. You're breaking all these promises made to all these people who worked all these years in government service, okay? That's bad. It's happening around the world. It's bad. For 300 or 400 families, for their wealth, doesn't seem fair to me. Mr. Obama, may the universe be with you. Again, we are going to go through the plane of the ecliptic on December 12th, 2012. You can ask NASA. It's the truth. It's the brutal truth. This is Bob Williams, Morris, New York. My Common Sense Politics, either .com or .net. We'll get you there. We'll see you in another 10 days, Mr. Obama.